For 3 days after escaping Ashford, I stayed hidden in a dark motel room outside Portland. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I could hear the mechanical click of iron cages opening in the dark. I had left Marcus behind in those tunnels. 2 days later, the police officially declared him a missing person. Nobody searched very hard. Marcus had friends, he had family, he had an active online following. Yet the entire town reacted to his disappearance with complete apathy, carrying on as if he had simply dissolved into the air. Within hours, whoever was pulling the strings managed to systematically sever every single connection Marcus had to the outside world. His podcast channel vanished, videos were deleted, accounts removed, and his website was taken offline. Richard Vane possessed incredible wealth, but money alone doesn't buy that kind of silence. He possesses the ability to edit a human being entirely out of reality. The silence of that motel room broke when my phone rang. I almost ignored the unknown number. Then, through the heavy static of the speaker, I heard a weak whisper. "Don't let him take me back." The line disconnected immediately. When I tried calling back, the number was unavailable. 10 minutes later, a text message appeared with no sender. It contained an address in Portland and one strict instruction: come alone. The address belonged to an abandoned subway maintenance tunnel. Rain poured heavily around me as I squeezed through a broken chain-link gate and began a long, freezing descent deep underground. Vane understood exactly how to use my guilt over Marcus to override my survival instincts. I was following the trail he left for me. Deep inside the freezing tunnel, I finally found him. Marcus was barely alive. His skin was pale, dark veins spiderwebbed around his eyes, and heavy bandages covered both of his arms. He hadn't escaped. He told me Vane's men dragged him lower. This cross-section diagram illustrates his discovery. Ashford sits directly on top of a hidden facility stretching for miles beneath the city. Dense clusters of rent populating these deep levels show the operation relies on sheer volume. Marcus showed me photos he had taken inside. The images showed rows of hospital beds, children staring blankly at walls, and huge tanks filled with dark liquid holding thousands of people who had disappeared over the years. The final photo showed Richard Vane himself. He was standing next to something horribly tall, its limbs unnaturally long, its skin stretched tight over its frame. Its eyes reflected pure white in the camera flash. The tanks, the beds, and the missing thousands provide the necessary resources to sustain the entity in the photograph. Richard Vane manages an entire subterranean network designed specifically to feed that creature. Footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Suddenly, every overhead light violently exploded at once, plunging the entire space into total darkness. Somewhere in the pitch-black distance, someone started whistling. It was a slow, calm, patient melody echoing off the concrete walls. The emergency lights flickered for a fraction of a second. Standing motionless in the darkness ahead of us were at least 20 men wearing black suits. All of them were smiling. Marcus grabbed my arm and dragged me into a side tunnel. Gunshots exploded behind us as we broke into a frantic sprint through the dark corridors, desperately trying to outrun the echoing gunfire. The shooters placed their rounds to seal off every exit. They were funneling us into a predetermined path. We reached a heavy, locked maintenance door at the end of a corridor. Marcus frantically typed a code into the keypad. The lock clicked open, and we stumbled inside, slamming the steel shut behind us. The space inside was illuminated by a massive hub of hundreds of security monitors. They displayed live, real-time feeds of every single corner of Ashford: the schools, the hospitals, the churches, and the private homes. These screens in the center show my motel room in Portland, my car parked outside, and my mother's house. Vane's eyes reach far beyond the borders of Ashford. Then, every single monitor switched simultaneously. Richard Vane's face appeared on all hundreds of screens, smiling directly at us. He spoke calmly through the speakers, stating that curiosity always becomes an infection. Fleeing Ashford physically offered zero protection. Putting miles between yourself and the town means nothing when your enemy maintains an unbroken gaze over every detail of your life. The screens shifted again. Now they broadcast live footage from deep underground, showing hundreds of human cages and a massive shape moving and breathing heavily in the center of the dock room. The creature slowly stepped into the overhead light. Its face looked as though it had been stitched together from pieces of different people, and as it looked into the camera, it smiled exactly the way Richard Vane smiled. Suddenly, a massive impact struck the heavy steel door of our room. The metal violently buckled and bent inward. Whatever was hitting us was attacking from the outside. Another heavy impact dented the steel further. Then came the sound of long fingernails dragging slowly across the metal surface, followed by a hoarse voice whispering through the crack to be let in. All around us, the underground emergency alarms triggered, bathing the room in red light. We followed the path laid out for us. By locking that door, we sealed ourselves in